Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel. You are here with Miguel and this will be the fifth deck profile for the series. I'll be answering the question, how to combine DC deck building sets. I will be following three key ideas: theme, availability, and consistency. For the theme of the deck, we're using the Blackest Night, Brightest Day event to pull inspiration from. This is where a lot of characters got their own lantern rings to fight against the Black Lantern Corps. For availability, we're pulling from the original set, Heroes Unite, Forever Evil, Rivals 1, and Crisis Expansion 1 and 2. For consistency, we have doubles of cards with cost 5 or less in order to help facilitate the alternate win condition from the game, using Kyle Rayner and the Lantern Rings. And now let's get into the deck profile. For heroes, we have 32 in total. At 2 costs, we have 2 copies of Katana and Vibe. Katana is our standard low-cost defense option. Vibe will put a hero or superpower with cost 5 or less on top of your deck to help facilitate later plays. At 3 costs, we have 2 copies of High Tech Hero, Raven, and Daughter of Gotham City. High Tech Hero supports equipment and superpower builds. Raven is a great draw card to further your game because it can generate +1 power as well. Daughter of Gotham City helps you recover punch cards early, which is useful for maintaining power generation. At cost 4, we have 2 copies of Hero of the Future, Sonic Siren, Deadman, Amanda Waller, and Star Sapphire. Hero of the Future is here balanced with the number of defense cards decreased to keep him from snowballing. Sonic Siren refreshes the lineup, helping to cycle out undesirable cards. Deadman helps you destroy cards early, which is useful for deck thinning early game. Amanda Waller can either generate power according to the destroyed villain's cost with her effect, destroy undesirable cards, or generate +2 power. Star Sapphire will put an equipment from any player's discard pile to the top of their deck, which will help out the win condition since all power rings are equipment. At cost 5, we have 2 copies of Superboy and Saint Walker, with a single copy of The Fastest Man Alive and Nightwing. Superboy supports superpower builds by putting 1 from your discard pile into your hand. Saint Walker is here to increase MVP value as long as you have been collecting different heroes. The Fastest Man Alive is your staple draw 2. Nightwing can chain draw equipment so he can be part of playing multiple power rings in one turn. At 6 costs, we have 1 copy of Warrior Princess and Blue Beetle. Warrior Princess supports superpower builds because her corresponding superpower, Starbolt, increases in power according to how many superpowers you have in your discard pile. When playing Warrior Princess with Starbolt, she can also gain a card from the lineup and add it to your hand. Blue Beetle is here as our staple Reveal to Defend card because we will be adding powerful attacks to the main deck. At cost 7, we have a single copy of Jason Blood and Kyle Rayner. Jason Blood puts any villain, even supervillains, from your discard pile on top of your deck to set up future plays. Kyle Rayner is here as an alternate win condition for the game. By playing 3 different power rings with him, you instantly win the game. Apart from that, he can gain an additional +2 power for each different power ring in play and in your discard pile. At 8 costs, we have a single copy of World's Mightiest Mortal and Gantheth. World's Mightiest Mortal can reveal and add the top 2 cards of the main deck to the lineup, making it easier to scout for cards during your turn. Gantheth is a card that has the effect where you can choose a player, even yourself, to add any number of cards with different colors and cost 6 or less from his discard pile into his hand. This works with any deck that collects different card types because each card type represents a color. For villains, we have 32 as well. At 2 cost, we have 2 copies of Grid and Ocean Master. Grid will put an equipment or villain with cost 5 or less on top of your deck to help facilitate later plays. Ocean Master works well in a villain build because he can destroy a card from your hand or discard pile when you play another villain this turn. At 3 cost, we have 2 copies of Jervis Tetch, Mr. Saz, and the Penguin. Jervis Tetch can thin out your deck by destroying or discarding the top card of your deck and can work in conjunction with the Mind Control hat to play all heroes and villains in the lineup. Mr. Zaz is here to disrupt all players that have been putting cards on top of their decks and giving them weaknesses with his attack. The Penguin can draw 2 and then discard 2. He works in conjunctions with the cards that can pick up the discarded cards from the discard pile and either put them on top of your deck or into your hand. At 4 cost, we have 2 copies of Clayface, Dr. Savannah, The Blight, Killer Frost, and Black Lantern Green Arrow. Clayface is here to copy effects of any cards that you want to use again, but does not count towards the 3 different power rings for Kyle Rayner because Clayface is not a named card with power ring. Dr. Savannah can put a superpower from your discard pile on top of your deck in order to facilitate future plays. The Blight can either generate power according to the destroyed superpower of cost with his effect, destroy any undesirable cards, or generate +2 power. Killer Frost is here as an attack against locations and can draw 1 if foes don't discard any. Black Lantern Green Arrow helps foes destroy a starter from their hand with his attack, but as the game goes on, he can start destroying the top card of their decks when they stop having starters. At 5 costs, we have 2 copies of Red Lantern Corps, Scarecrow, and Psycho Pirate. The Red Lantern Corps is here to destroy undesirable cards in our hands to gain +3 power. Scarecrow's attack can give weaknesses in order to level the playing field at the end of the game when counting victory points. Psycho Pirate works best in the early game to attack and discard all duplicate cards with names such as the punch card. At the mid to late game, his attack can reveal foes' hands to give you information about their turns. At 6 cost, we have a single copy of Despero and Black Lantern Batman. Despero is a staple card that can draw 2 and attack to make a player discard a card with cost 1 or greater. Black Lantern Batman can attack and give a weakness to each foe, plus give out another weakness to each player with an equipment in their discard pile. This can counter players who have been collecting equipment. At cost 7, we have a single copy of the Demon Etrigan, Larfleeze, and Black Lantern Blue Beetle. The Demon Etrigan is here to stack any hero, including superheroes, from the discard pile on top of their decks. Larfleeze can help at the endgame by increasing the VP value by 1 for every 7 cards in your deck. Black Lantern Blue Beetle is here for defense hate. First, his own effect discards a defense card without it being an attack. Then his own attack discards every defense card in each foe's hand, giving out valuable information of who can defend against incoming attacks. At 8 cost, we have a single copy of Black Lantern Martian Manhunter. His attack states each foe discards a random card. You may play any number of them, then return them to their discard pile. This effect is powerful as it goes through because he can play as much as 3 extra cards per turn. For equipment, we have 32 as well. At 2 costs, we have 2 copies of Legion Flight Ring, Batarang, and Eskrima sticks. Legion Flight Ring can draw a card, which is perfect for deck thinning. Batarang is here for when you don't have enough power to buy a kick, or when you want to buy 2 cards at cost 2 with +4 power. Eskrima sticks is most valuable when you have different 3 cost cards or less that are equipment, because it can put one from your discard pile into your hand. At 3 cost, we have 2 copies of Helmet of Fate and Batmobile. Helmet of Fate is another defense card that can help mulligan undesirable cards when you defend. Batmobile is here to mulligan your hand if it's the first card you play during your turn. At 4 costs, we have 2 copies of Skeets, Mallet, Secret Society Communicator, and Signature Trenchcoat. Skeets supports hero builds as a defense card that can put heroes on top of their deck or into their hand when defending. Mallet can draw or pass undesirable cards to another foe's discard pile. Secret Society Communicator can generate power according to the destroyed hero's cost with his effect. Destroy on any undesirable cards or generate +2 power. Signature Trenchcoat is here to gain cards with cost 5 or less from the destroyed pile, especially from cards that we're destroying, like Amanda Waller, The Blight, Secret Society, and Super Intellect. At cost 5, we have all the different copies of the Power Rings. We have Red, Star Sapphire, Green, Yellow, Indigo, Orange, Blue, Black, and White. This is the heart of the Blackest Night, Brightest Day theme, and each of them has their own unique effect to correspond to any playstyle. They are mostly here as part of the Kyle Rayner win condition, or can gain more VP value according to how many you have. At 6 costs, we have 2 copies of Science Cell. Science Cell is here to increase in VP value as long as you have been collecting different villains. Each card that can generate its own VP value can help multiple players reach similar VP points at the end of the game in order to feel like the games are close. At 7 costs, we have a single copy of Mind Control Hat and White Lantern Power Battery. Mind Control Hat is a good draw 2 card because it has its own attack to make each foe discard a random card and can combo with Jervis Tech to play each hero or villain from the lineup. White Lantern Power Battery can gain all power rings from the lineup and put them into your hand to gather missing pieces you may need for the Kyle Rayner win condition. It can also gain any card and add it to the top of your deck just in case you don't see a power ring in the lineup. At 8 costs, we have a single copy of Power Armor. This is a good reveal to defend card because it can destroy multiple cards depending on the number of attacks that have been thrown against you. For superpowers, we have 24. At 2 costs, we have 3 copies of Flight. It is a good low defense with low cost, which can put any card from your discard pile to the top of your deck to facilitate future plays. Since it has the effect of discarding itself first, you can put Flight on top of your deck to fulfill the rest of effect in any case. At 3 costs, we have 2 copies of Force Field, Power of the Green, and Channeling the Emotional Spectrum. Force Field is here as an ongoing defense to show players that you have at least one defense against their attacks. Power of the Green is to put your location from your discard pile into play to have it online by the turn of or your next turn. Channeling the Emotional Spectrum is a kick that can be any color to fulfill requirements of other cards that ask for colors. At 4 costs, we have 2 copies of Canary Cry, Super Intellect, and Crystal Shield. Canary Cry supports villain builds as a defense card that can put villains on top of their deck or into their hand when defending. Super Intellect can generate power according to the destroyed equipment's cost with its effect, destroy any undesirable cards, or can generate +2 power. Crystal Shield is a great draw card that can give you +1 power and can work as a defense card to put cards with cost 3 or less into your hand or draw a card. At 5 costs, we have 2 copies of Starbolt and Rage Blood. Starbolt is here to generate power from the superpowers in your discard pile and can fulfill the additional effect for Warrior Princess. Rage Blood is here to help out players destroy cards with cost 0 in their discard piles, and if foes destroy a card, you get to draw a card. Having more cards to interact with more players can keep the engagement and fun going between players. At 6 costs, we have a single copy of World's Greatest Detective and Possession. World's Greatest Detective is our final reveal to defend card that lets us gain +1 power and draw a card when played. Possession is here to counter players with attack cards in their hand because it states that foes reveal their hand and then resolve each attack against himself. At 7 costs, we have a single copy of Shazam and Constructs of Fear. Shazam is here to play the top card of the main deck as a way to scope out what comes out next into the lineup. Constructs of Fear is a great attack that can leave players with 3 cards in their hand for their next turn. At 9 costs, we have a single copy of Ultra Strength. Ultra Strength is here as our lucrative card that everyone wants because its effect of +3 and drawing 2 cards is really good. For locations, we have 10 with 1 exchange. For our standard locations, we have New Genesis, Apocalypse, Gotham City, and Metropolis. Since we have a lot of cards that can put cards on top of our decks, these locations can achieve their effects quickly by having the desired card type on top. We also have Oa, Titan's Tower, House of Mystery, Blackgate Prison, Earth 3, and Atlantis. Oa is here to let us draw a card when the supervillain stack is cost 10 or greater. It can be exchanged for the Rot if you are playing with a superhero stack for all the attacks that are going to give out weaknesses. Titan's Tower and House of Mystery is here to facilitate draws according to the cost they're asking for. Blackgate Prison and Earth 3 are here to turn your starter cards and weaknesses into victory tokens if the starters and weaknesses are on top of your deck. And Atlantis is here to put a card you buy or gain from the top of to the top of your deck from the lineup to help out future plays for either yourself or other players. We do have another set of Impossible Mode villains introduced in this set. So you can always set aside Ra's al Ghul, Vandal Savage, Crisis Necron, and Crisis Anti-Monitor. Then you want to shuffle all your Impossible Mode villains, and you can put as many as you want to play with and set aside either Crisis Anti-Monitor, Crisis Necron, Ra's al Ghul, or Vandal Savage according to randomizing the cards. This is a fun way to keep the Impossible Mode going as if you were going to play the game with only Impossible Mode villains. We also get oversized cards such as Red Lantern Supergirl, Star Sapphire, White Lantern Deadman, Indigo One, Saint Walker, Kyle Rayner, and also the promo White Lantern Sinestro. What I like to do is to shuffle all of them with the previous oversized hero cards and have players pick 4, then choose 1 to play with during the game. In closing, that's just one way to combine DC deck building sets. Remember, there's no correct way to build your main deck. These videos are here to inspire and start conversations. What would you change? Who is your favorite lantern? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, all the YouTube things. I'll see you on the next one.